motivate.
Happy Talk 100.4 FM.
The voice of the estate. 9 years of sizzling hot radio from the hub of business, culture, and entertainment. Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's heartbeat.
Coming from Holiton Kimberly Richards, Banga. We also played you Woke Up Late, Drax Project featuring Haley. And of course, Eddie Grant is on that playlist. And I can see a couple of people are quite excited to have heard Eddie Grant this morning. I Don't Want to Dance. We also opened up the crunch with Mwanawangu coming from Nashi Zim. Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Habit. Hashtag 9 and Fly. You and I get to connect every weekday, 9 and 12, on the Ultimate Magazine Experience. Last week on Workers on Wednesday, which is your ultimate guide to whatever it is that you're experiencing within your workplace. We bring it right here and we unpack it and we discuss it. Last week, you came through hot and ready to discuss this conversation around menstrual leave. Very thought-provoking debate we had there. Is it special treatment? Is it charity? From talking about it being a biological infrastructure that we need to talk about, and also the idea of a productive economy. We were trying to understand what the hidden cost of you coming to work when you are unwell is, and by the end of that conversation, we discovered, can you imagine, almost 10 days are lost a year per woman who comes to work feeling unwell because of menstrual cramps, nausea, discomfort, whatever she is. And we want to continue that discussion. I remember last week, Adonis from Avondale says, if we do this, women will never be hired. Mafara came through blazing and he says, I thought we were 50-50. Why do you need special treatment? Well, here is the reality in 2026. We are running a modern economy on a 1950s hardware that assumes everybody in the office is the same. Now, research comes to challenge this because if we're losing, like I said, close to 10 days of productivity per woman every year, not because she's staying at home, not because they're sitting in the office, in most cases, she's agonizing in pain, producing absolutely nothing, we're probably paying ghosts. So today we want to move from the why menstrual leave to the how. How do we adopt what Nairobi has done, their Memo 43 blueprint, without creating a hiring death sentence for our daughters? We also are going to be in Nairobi, we're going to Gaborone, we're going to Lusaka, into the heart and also into the heart of our own Labor Act to try and understand what this means. Now, if you are listening, if you are in business, if you're a business owner, are you paying for a body in a chair or are you paying for a brain that produces, do you think? Is it more important for you to have a woman coming into work even if she's unwell, or her being able to work from home when she's experiencing menstrual issues? 0719 100 404. Now, we want to continue this discussion, and joining us yet again from across the continent to share their thoughts, we go as far as Kenya, Nairobi, which started this discussion. We've got still on the line Joanne Mutaba. She's a business development analyst, and she was walking us through this memo in the county of Nairobi that is being discussed and possibly being adopted as the way to go as the future. Good morning to you, Joanne. It's so lovely to have you back on Cafe Talk.
Hi, Fulake. Thank you for having me.
We also
I'm ready to dig deeper into the discussion.
Indeed, we are too. We also have Nonhlanhla Ratotsa, Managing Director from Trade Lights Consultancy in Gaborone, Botswana. We were having challenges last week, but we're happy to know that this week we have you on lock, Nonhlanhla. Good morning. How have you been?
Good morning. Thank you for having me again this morning. I've been well. It's been a hectic week, but all is well.
Lovely to hear that. In no way least, we've got Itai Bonda, who is our labor consultant. And it's also good to have men's perspective on this discussion. If you're listening in as a man, 0719 100 404. We also want to hear your thoughts around this discussion. Do you think if we are pushing for 50-50 equality, is it asking for special days or just giving men an excuse to say we are weaker? Giving women an excuse to say we are weaker. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts around this issue might be. Now, Joanne, we're going to start with you because Memo 43, the zero cost policy, is what we started this discussion on, looking into how Nairobi, by the way, is proposing that we introduce some days off for women who are experiencing their menstrual cycle to take their days off. They don't need a letter. They don't need to prove to anybody that they are unwell. They just get to have 2 days a month that they're paid for and they don't come to work. Now, there are skeptical voices, CEOs that are possibly even laughing at this idea, Joanne. They are seeing this leave and they say, well, it's a loss for us as a business. For you as Nairobi, can you walk us through the business logic? How does letting a woman recover at home actually save Nairobi County money, do you think?
Thank you for Lucky for this platform. So first, it's sad to consider that these 2 leave days are an issue of concern regarding loss of business. Just as it is, first of all, yes, it could be a matter of concern. However, I think that this should be considered as a zero cost policy because it's more about being considerate about a human being. We're more business centered, yes, but if a person is not productive enough, then that leads also to the productivity and the output of the organization. So if we're considerate about money, then it means that having also factors or leave days such as mental health days, that's also a matter of no concern. It raises a lot of questions regarding this. Yes, we have to run with the aspect of money, but if someone is not in a good headspace or in a good physical health or situation, then that should be taken into concern for sure, rather than being more money centered and etc.
And for you, non-Shasha, as you're listening in, you also being, in leadership, in business, from a business lens, how do you think this reduces loss? Do you agree that this might reduce loss or actually create risk, non-Shasha?
Thank you again, Falaka. You know what I think is we really need to create balance and accept the fact that women exist. They have a biological outlook that they have, and we accept who they are, and we facilitate them to work in an environment that is also inclusive of them. So I believe that in a way of reducing cost, or yes, cost might be there, may be productivity issues if the person is completely out. But there's a way of trying to mitigate this. You can, like I said last week, we are now in a globally different environment where people can work from home if you are able to, because most of the things are now digital. Well, if it's a physical work environment that requires you to be there, how then do you balance those days? Because everything has a cost. Even sick leave on its own, when we are put just being off work or just your normal leave, it's a cost to the company. And sick leave is a cost to the company. So why are we not including that cost and seeing how to mitigate it than to wish it away and say, no, we're no longer adding more cost, but while it's ignoring another human being's needs. So I feel those costs should be included and be budgeted and catered for.
Bonda, as you're listening in, you asked some very interesting questions last week, and you were asking, can we actually quantify the amount of productivity lost or gained by employees for us to be able to justify saying, listen, let our women get paid whilst they are on their menstrual leave. And we also highlighted the different research across the world. We referred to the one from Netherlands, which is what we are using as an example of how they have measured the loss. And they're saying, listen, 14% of women are losing nearly 9 days of productivity a year just by them coming to work in pain. And the question I want to throw at you, one as a man, two as a labor consultant, and it's similar to what Joanne and Nonhlaka are asking, if coming to work in pain is costing us billions, because if you do the math, it will add up. Why would a CEO be more afraid of a 12-day leave policy than they are of a worker who is physically present and, as Nonhlanhla has alluded to, is not actually present? They're in pain. Bonda.
Thank you very much for allow me also to say good morning to the ladies on the other side, Joanna and Nonhlanhla. And by the way, it was Nonhlanhla's birthday yesterday. So it's better that we just say happy belated birthday to Nonhlanhla. And we also hope that a piece of cake is on its way to Zimbabwe.
Happy birthday, Nonhlanhla.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bonda.
Yes. So, yeah, it's a good discussion. It must lead us to some kind of policy change, but indeed we are all accepting that there is a balance that needs to be struck. There is a cost that is involved. So yesterday somebody was saying it's a similar thing. I heard Nonhlanhla talking about Ubuntu, that we must put a human face. A human face is very good. But don't forget that not everybody is bound by that Ubuntu when we do business. Business is business. It has cost. Right? So somebody yesterday was saying this employee was on a fixed term contract. Then this fixed term contract is about to expire. But unfortunately, he got into an accident and was injured. But the employer was actually paying to NASA. NASA is our equivalent of a social protection fund for the other ladies to understand. So this person was now saying, is it good that when the fixed term contract of this employee expire by a fraction of time, we renew it so that we can actually accommodate a sickness or injury? But legally we'll be saying, no, when a contract expires, it expires. It's up to the employer now to renew it or not renew it. But the human face now tells you that you still need to renew it so that this employee can nurse the injuries and accident. But the business side now, you cannot pay for somebody who is not working, who is doing nothing. Are we together for right? So I want to borrow this exactly to where you are taking us about menstrual leave. Everything that we do, every leave that we consider that is paid, is money that is supposed to be paid by the employer. So when you say, and by the way, not every woman actually encounter this. I have had a discussion with a number of women, others are not affected.
Right.
So we must not take it as a blanket thing. I would take the approach that we did in Zimbabwe, to say that we set aside 12 days, which are fully paid for, which you don't really ask to say, if it is a compassionate ground, you can withdraw from those days. You can withdraw from that bank. So women can still take from there when we are here. But for us to put a blind eye to say that women should just take 2 days off a month without considering that one. And my question still stands. Nobody had actually dared to define what really productivity is. And how is it being affected by this? I challenge the ladies to answer that. For
Right. So I'm going to throw this first to Nonhlanhla and Joanne. You can also respond to what Bonda is suggesting, to say, firstly, how do you, again, quantify productivity, but also, why are you having to pay for someone who's actually not at work?
All right, let me try and go at first. I understand Mr. Bonda's sentiments, and they are quite valid and true. However, my question still remains. So what happens to those women who really need it? Are we going to say we're going to ignore it? How are we? Is it not a matter of putting it into policy and try to balance it out to say, look, let's say the issue of Japan, where less than 10% of the women actually are taking up that leave. It just shows that the issue of stigmatization, shame around the issue is still there in this day and age. And so are we saying we are going to move on with such kind of realities where stigmatization, discrimination continues to be an issue? Or we are saying, let's look into the matter and balance these things out if there's a way and actually accommodate the women that need it. We appreciate that not all the women in the world would need this, but we also appreciate that there's a good good percentage of women who actually need it, not want it. And in some cases, like I said last week, it becomes a health issue that is ongoing and expensive health issues for that matter that requires a woman to see specialists and get help for them. Some women don't have access to that as yet, but they still need the job. So are we going to discriminate them on matters of productivity? Because women need to work. They're equal human beings like the men. We need to work to provide. Not provide in the sense that we are the only people that provide, but in some instances, you find a family setup where the woman is the only person that can provide. So do we discriminate them?
Always want this voice, Nushasha, when we advocate for paternal leave. You are mem when we talk about paternal leave. Why are you discriminating men?
I'm so for paternal leave, actually, Mr. Bonda. I advocate for it. I feel it's good especially for the father to get involved in the first days of welcoming this child in this world and making sure that they settle into the family. So I'm so for equality, please. You know me.
Joanne, how do you respond to Bonda's critical thinking about bringing in the menstrual leave policy?
Okay, so first he questioned about how do we gauge productivity. To me, productivity is output per unit of time. So basically the quality of work that should be delivered efficiently. And one factor to consider is that when someone is in pain and at work, output tends to drop because tasks could either take longer or maybe decision making could be a little bit stuttered. And also this even leads to a factor where there could be chances of a lot of errors at this moment. Yeah. And we need to note that this policy is not mandatory. It has been suggested that if it is an option there. So basically it is optional. It is based on the person's situation. I think if you're not really, for those who are lucky enough not to have painful like menses, they're lucky enough. And I don't see the concern where that it is taken as if it is mandatory for each. And also businesses already pay for illnesses, injuries, etc., and also mental health breaks. So I don't see why this is any different, because the real question should be not whether everyone needs it, or it should be more about the business should prefer a visible leave or invisible productivity loss, because evidence shows that the latter is far more expensive.
It is Capital 100. Thank you so much, Joanne. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. Should a woman have to choose between working through pain or losing income? For millions of women, that decision happens every single month. We're talking about menstrual leave, a policy that is gaining traction across the world: Spain, Japan, India. And now in Africa, we've got two countries that have taken this up. We've got Zambia as well as parts of a county in Kenya, Nairobi. And that's what we're talking about today. A policy that seems to be gaining traction, and yet it's also stirring controversy and maybe even forcing us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Do you feel as if labor systems are actually designed to cater to both genders, men and women? When women are experiencing pain that's disrupting work, is your work system treating that as a personal problem or a structural problem? In December last year, Kenya made history. Nairobi City County became the first county in Kenya, and Kenya becomes the second country in Africa after Zambia, and we will cross to Zambia just now, that formally is adopting this menstrual leave policy. And through County Executive Committee, a memorandum numbered 43 of 25 was signed by CEO member S.G. Mwangi and approved 2 fully paid menstrual health days per month for women employees. 2 days paid, no deductions, no medical proof, no humiliation. So as we're talking about this, 0719100404, we are also interested to hear, who do you think is carrying the cost when a worker is physically present at work but is mentally absent due to pain? We also did ask quite a few people, and you also have a perfect opportunity to respond. A similar question about pain. Have you ever been in such excruciating pain and actually had to go to work? Did that have an impact on you? Over half of Nairobi's county's workforce right now as we speak are women, and a large proportion of those are of reproduction age. 65 to 80% of women are said to be experiencing menstrual pain. Listen to that statistics. And many are working through pain whilst they are at work, which may mean there's low output, there's low morale, and sometimes even burnout. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Upbeat. Also keen to hear your thoughts. Do you think this policy is controversial? Do you think it is something we can adapt for us as a country? And then there goes my machine, loving to get stuck right as we are having our discussion. Last week, Itai, Adonis in Avondale raised a point around the fear of women losing their jobs, losing jobs to candidates who claim they don't need the leave. And Nonklaka also referenced a country like Japan where they've had this policy since the 40s, but the uptake is very low. Women there don't take up this leave for many reasons, and one of them includes the fact that it's not paid. You are paying a cost for you to take your menstrual leave. Now, if we were to bring this to Zimbabwe, what could we do to make sure that the women who need it, as Joanna has highlighted, actually do take up the leave and that the policy actually works?
Those are justified fears for luck. Remember, I also raised the same to say that even in recruitment, yes, we may have these positive policies, but in practice now, because it involves costs, employers will always try to put in place some measures to manage costs. So they will probably not recruit women, a big number of them. Yes, and they can kind of discriminate in a salient manner on women. Yes, we have a good policy on paper, but in practice now, there will be no uptake. Even in developed countries where these policies are in place, if you ask them, I had an occasion to have a discussion with 1 or 2 people, they said implementation is a problem. So for us, I've already indicated we have got 12 special days which are paid for. Those days are not specifically designated or limited. You can use them on compassionate grounds, of which those compassionate grounds could be the issue of menstrual pain and everything. For like,
yeah. So you are a labor consultant at Bonda.
yes,
There's always solutions to make people comply or to safeguard against bias, right? We've seen this even in terms of AI and technology. What would be the safeguard we would need to put within the workplace to make sure that that bias, because of the fear that a woman will want to take those 2 days times 12 months a year, does not happen?
the best way to enforce compliance for luck is to have people on the program or the policy. Yes, you can try to force them through the law and whatever, but if they don't have it in their hearts, it will still be a problem. So let people actually accept it, own it, and adopt it, and they will push it for luck. The employers must not feel that this is coming at a cost. And for sure, cost is real in business. It needs to be managed.
Yeah.
Yes.
From where you're standing, Bonda, you not being a woman, do you think menstrual leave is about rest? Do you think it's about giving women agency over their own bodies at work? What do you think this is really about?
This other lady was saying men should not be involved in this discussion because they don't know about menstrual issues. Yeah, it is a good thing for luck. But like I'm always saying, we need to have a balance.
Yes, but what do you think this actual issue, what do you think is the actual issue about saying menstrual leave should be considered? Is it that women are weak, we are lazy, we want time to eat our muffins on the couch, feel sorry for ourselves? What do you think it's about?
Not really. It's a real problem that you are raising. But other women are saying they don't have that problem. So it's a matter of us now accommodating those who have got some problems, not to make a blanket policy to say that every woman. Let's have that, and it also assists us to manage that cost as well. If we have got a small number of these people who are affected, who will be compensating.
Do you think flexible hours or even remote work could be as effective as leave?
I don't think if it will assist, because remember, the reason why you are not coming to work is because you are not able to work effectively. So if we say we are simply changing location of where you are going to work, you work at home remotely, it doesn't make sense to me. If you are saying you are officially off your work, you have to be officially off your work.
Sure. Joanne, how do you feel about this? If you are off your work, you must be officially off at work. Last week, I think we started to touch on this, and Nonhlahla was also speaking into this. The idea of saying, listen, take your flexi days, because they could become flexi days, right? Or remote work. Is this as effective as being on leave? Do you think, Joanne?
I'd say if we're taking the menstrual leave days, let's just not carry our work home, because if the argument is that we won't be productive during this period, then what makes it different if we're working at home just because of the comfort? So that could also be a reason of concern as well around this factor. Yeah.
It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. Interested to hear some of the thoughts that you are feeling about menstrual leave within the workplace. Some thoughts that have already come through, I will play them just now. But as a working woman, what does a bad period day actually do for your ability to work? 0719 100 404. And do you think women should be forced to use sick leave or annual leave for something that happens every month? And as a man, we are also keen to hear your thoughts around this discussion. 0719 100 404. Do you feel that this indeed is leaving you as a man out of this discussion? 0719 100 404. Nonhlahla, is this the same thing as working from home? Should we say if you are taking your days off, you are taking your days off? No flexi, no remote work?
For me, really, the way I was looking at it is the nature of the problem that we're talking about. Where you are uncomfortable in a space like a work environment, maybe it's a heavy bleed, not necessarily painful, or maybe it is painful. Look, it doesn't get from experiences that we've had, some of us, it's not horrible the whole day. And if I'm able to, at some point, take an hour and work on that proposal and send it, then let it be. I understand Joanne's sentiments to say, okay, if we are now taking your leave and going to rest, let it be rest. I'm also open to the fact that if women are willing to say, from this environment is more stable for me to work and still produce results, why not? Can I not be allowed to do my work and send it? Because you can have a person in the office 8 hours a day doing absolutely nothing. And I'm there, and they are marked present, and there's no productivity. And I'm at home. First 5 or 3 hours of the day are not so good. The next part of the day, I'm able to work and be very efficient and productive and send my assignments. So if I can, why not? Because flexi hours are for such kind of circumstances that please let me work flexibly, but still produce.
Got you. And Nonklakia, when you look towards Africa as a continent and who we are trying to become as a continent, Kenya isn't in SADC, but we do share the same trade goals to a large part of it. When you look into mechanisms that have been designed, for example, by SADC, we've got what we call the Protocol on Gender, that is also looking to say women should have equal access to opportunity, involvement in trade, involvement, in business. Do you think there is enough teeth for some of these mechanisms we have at a regional level to actually make sure that women in Botswana, I know you told us that there was not much take in Botswana, but if we are a bloc, can we see, like Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Mauritius, and anyone else within the bloc taking this up? Do you think SADC has the teeth to demand this regionally, do you think?
You see, the thing is with these policies, what I always feel is if people are allowed to decide and make a choice, let's say SADC as an instrument for coordinating these countries, doesn't take a serious stand. It's just like issues of discrimination for women, equality, and these things are now law. You have to pay women equal pay. You have to view them as an equal member in a working environment. It's because somebody had to step up and make it into something that is enforceable and it's law. So we start from this grassroots. Let's have the discussion and see what it means. And then eventually we'll get there. Because if we decide, no, anyone has they have the liberty to decide to make it. So I will then have to think, do I want to live in Botswana for the rest of my life? Do I want to go to another country? But we want to make sure that skills are shared and SADC is growing as a region. So if we are following policies, why are we not talking about them and have one conversation, not a scattered conversation? So I think you're right to say these instruments should actually take the responsibility to talk about these things and put them in place.
Got you. And for you, Joanne, realizing that Kenya is part of COMESA and not necessarily in terms of SADC, although there is relationship with us, how do you think we can actually level the playing field so that somebody who is part of the COMESA bloc, someone in the SADC bloc, does not have to hide her pain, while a woman in Gaborone, for example, should not have to hide her pain, while a woman in Lusaka or Nairobi has protected, mechanisms. Lusaka has, Zambia has Mother's Day, for example. So how do you think, Joanne, we can level the playing field?
One thing that is important to acknowledge, as much as the policy can be implemented in the regional bloc, it is important to also note that they cannot enforce the national labor policies. So adaptation will depend on the member states that are going to take initiative. So that's going to be a difficult one, because they cannot enforce the national labor policies. So that's yeah.
It's very, very interesting. So therein lies a problem. Are we then saying, regionally, wanting trade between our countries, between the continent, countries within the continent, we cannot harmonize menstrual standards as part of women's labor rights? Bonda, I want to throw this one to you. Do you think we can harmonize our menstrual health standards so that women within Africa, within SADC, within COMESA are actually protected and not afraid of the word period?
For menstrual issues are a universal problem. It is possible to harmonize these things. The same as we can do with sexual harassment. If I get to Botswana, South Africa, if I talk about sexual harassment, the sentiments are the same. This is a universal problem.
Yeah. So I am seeing your messages and your audio notes. I'm trying frantically to get the machine to cooperate so that we can include them. Hi, Falake. It's why oh my goodness. Do you see, when you write shorthand, a lot of things get lost in translation. Kanya, if you can just work that message for me so that we can quickly get to it. Consideration goes both ways. Therein lies the problem. Women feel entitled to empathy but cannot relay the same or even at least acknowledge the hypocrisy. I repeat, you cannot have your cake and eat it. And do not gaslight my input as malice or cold-hearted. No feelings involved, and none are to be considered either way. If we are equal, then that's the premise. And business is run on low-cost productivity, not emotional blackmail. Nonhlahla, how do you respond to this one?
Ubuntu.
Or Ubuntu. Aish. Nonhlahla, Hans, we are gaslighting. We can't have our cake and eat it.
I appreciate the sentiments, but my own sentiments still remain that this is a real problem. We cannot wish it away. We cannot decide that this is a woman, she has to deal with it. It's not even having our cake and eating it at the same time. As women, we face many challenges that we wish we could, at a moment, transfer them to the men and say, for the next 5 months, can you experience these things and come back to me? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Yeah,
Right.
but somebody has to say and speak about these things and be a voice for this gender to say, this is the issue that we are facing and it's a real issue. How are we dealing with it? If we are quiet because we are afraid to be looked at as a weaker sex or people who are always complaining, if women did not raise their voices to say, I'm in a work environment, but I'm not paid equally. You know, ILO, Mr. Bonda, enforces equal pay. So if there was no one who said, let's have equal pay, and we continued and said, well, I don't want to sound like I'm being dramatic to say, can I have equal pay? These are the things that it might not sound the same, but the issue is this is also a real matter that requires attention.
Got you.
Yeah.
Nonhlahla, I just want to hold your thought process there. We just want to cross over to the news bulletin. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. It's 10 o'clock.
We talk, we vibe, we elevate.
Happy Talk 100.4 FM.
The voice of the estate. 9 years of sizzling hot radio from the hub of business, culture, and entertainment. Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's Heartbeat.
#9.
We've been having a regional and cross-regional review of the menstrual leave policy on Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. And here are some of the responses you sent in. As a woman, have you had to go to work whilst you're experiencing excruciating pain? And these are some of the thoughts that you sent in 0719 100 404. Take a listen.
Hi, Folake. I would love to answer the question that is asking whether menstrual leave is good and why it is. And I think that it is good because when a woman's on her period, there are some physical symptoms and pain she may experience, things like fatigue and headaches, lower back pain and cramps. Now, for one to be functional within the workspace, they have to be of sound body and mind. So if someone is always tired or someone at the moment is tired and is experiencing this pain, then I think that affects the productivity of the person. And this messes up with a lot of things like the quality of the work or the quality of the product produced. So, yeah, women should definitely take leave from work when they're on their periods. And also there's that aspect that there's an adequate workplace facilities. Some workplaces don't allow for like a lot of bathroom breaks. So imagine a woman wants to change her pad, but she can't do that because she has to go up and down and she has to be in one place, or she doesn't have like access to a bathroom. Now that affects how a woman's going to be comfortable. She won't be comfortable within the workplace because she doesn't have access to.
Hi, Folek. So I'm going to answer the first question that says, as a working woman, what does a bad period day actually do to your ability to work? So basically, a bad period day can greatly hinder my work performance. So there are physical symptoms like cramps, headaches, and fatigue, and this can be so distracting. And apart from these physical symptoms, there are also emotional challenges like mood swings, irritability. These usually affect my interactions and focus. So, for example, I am a safety officer, and sometimes I have to be training people. And usually I work in male-dominated environment. So when it's that time of the month and I'm supposed to be training people, sometimes I don't feel comfortable. Sometimes I don't have the confidence.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing some of your experiences. And I'll keep playing the audio notes as we go through. We have to round up our discussion this morning around menstrual leave on Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's Abi. Last question. And I'm going to give Itai, Joanne, and Nonklaka 30 seconds to just let us know if we are to introduce an HR formalization menstrual health policy handbooks in the workplace. Where do you think we should start, Bonda? 30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you for I think we must start at policy level, at individual company level as well. Then if it works, then we can actually broaden it at national level. Yeah. Yes.
Joanne, for you, where do you think we should start if we are to introduce and formalize this handbook for menstrual health for women, particularly within our bloc countries?
I'd say we start with awareness and education around this matter.
Got you. And for you, Nonklaka, where do you think we should start?
I agree with John. We start with awareness and buy-in. Buy-in would require for us to go to grassroots and where the people are and explain. So that is the awareness part. Until there is a buy-in, then it becomes policy.
It is Capital 100.4 FM, Harare Zabi. Picture a high-performing analyst in Nairobi. Before Memo 43, she used to use her sick leave for her period. By June, his sick leave is gone. July, she has a flu. She has to come to work, infects the whole office. Productivity crashes for weeks. This is the cost of the silence. If we look at the data coming from Netherlands, 32,000 women plus proved it. We lose 9 days of productivity per woman yearly, not because they want to stay home, not because they show up, but because they show up and they cannot function. We are literally paying for ghosts to be in the office. Kenya, Nairobi model could be revolutionary because it says you don't need a medical note because your body is the evidence. And maybe by 2026, the Africa we want must also realize that a labor law that is ignoring that the female body is like Zesa grid, right? That ignores the rain, it's destined to fail. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's happy. Coming up next, we're going into a simulcast. Many thanks to Nonklaka from Cameroon. Many thanks to Joanne from Kenya. Many thanks to our Bonda from Zimbabwe for us having a conversation that affects the Africa we want, us developing into an upper middle income country, which, by the way, Kenya also is envisioning to develop into an upper middle income economy by 2030. Nonklaka, Joanne, Itai, thank you so much for being on our show this morning.
From day 1 to year 9, we've inspired, informed, and entertained. With the biggest hits, hottest news, and exclusive interviews. Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat. Hashtag 9 and fly.
Happy Talk 100.4 FM.
9 years strong, we bring the city alive.
Hashtag 9 and fly.
News that matters. Music that vibes and talk that captivates.
9 and fly.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
9 and fly.
Hashtag 9 and fly. Hey Harare, we continue to raise it high on the hottest radio station in Harare, day and night. It's on Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's heartbeat.
Hashtag 9
and
fly. Happy Talk 100.4 FM.
9 years strong, we bring the city alive.
Hashtag 9 and fly.
News that matters. Music that vibes and talk that captivates.
Mind and fly.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Mind and fly.
Hashtag 9 and fly.
It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Happy. We're also simulcasting with our big sister station, Star FM. Today we're talking about women, the law, and survival. This is episode 3 that we've been having, and it's not theory, it's definitely not politics. It is real life. The law can either protect you, and sometimes it feels as if it is blocking you at the exact moment you need it the most. And on our conversation today, we want to ask some more hard questions. What happens when the law exists and yet the system shuts its doors? What does justice look like when a survivor is told to bring paperwork instead of being given care? And what would change if our laws actually worked for women and not against them? This is episode 3 of our Mental Health Law and Budget series. We are unpacking Medical Services Amendment Bill. What does it say, and how does it connect with you as a woman in terms of your dignity as well as your survival? Nasi Trukubete Gwaku with the help of Mildred Mapingure. She's a women's rights activist. She's also a survivor. She's bringing her lived experience into a space that is often forgotten and doesn't put a picture to the conversation. We also have Honorable MP Mushorewa, who's also going to help us understand what the bill means in practice, not just on paper. As always, this is your space. We want to hear your voice, your lived realities. You can send in your messages on 0719 100-404 from wherever you are listening in. And as always, we talk honestly, respectfully, without fear. As I've said, having Mildred in our discussion. Mildred, good morning. It's so good to have you on Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. Muchifambira nyaya inogoja kazhinji kacho kuti tizvuve tiwereke nezvayo. How are you, Mildred? Good morning.
Good morning. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Honorable Makadiko tofara chaizvo kuvonai muchidzifambira nyaya dzamazuva vose. So, Mildred, mnoza nyaya iyi inotogosha kuti tiitange asi todiko tongofanwa kufamba nayo tinyatsohwisisa. Can you share for us your experience of trying to get access to legal abortion after you survived a very violent experience? Maybe you can start there. Chichakaitik.
Okay, ndinonzwa kufara fanga ndichitaura nerurimi rwamai kudai ndinonyatsobudisa sezvazviri kana muri kunditendera sevana veZimbabwe. Zvinogozha zvinorema zvechokwadi asi nokuti zviri kuitika zvinofana kuti zvitaurike. Nanhasi hazvina kundirerukira kunge ndichizvitaura asi nokuda kwekuti ndine vadzikoma maningi nana mai vari kunze uku, they are always going through the same zvandakaitika. Zvinorwadza kuti 2006 pakaita dambudziko rekuti takapazirwa ndikabinywa kwavanoti kurepwa. Pazvakaitika taingova tiri madzimai maviri mukati memba takashaya rubatsiro kubva kune maneighbors, even though takanga tazama hedu izvozvo handivapiwo mhosva nekuti vane zvikonzero zvavo zvakaita kuti vanyarare. Asi chakazonyanya kundirwadza ndechekuti takaenda kumapurisa nekuti vanoti pamutemo izvozvo ndakanga ndiri kuzviziva kuti ukabinywa haufani kugeza, haufani kuchinja, hauna chauno.
Therefore, do share with us your pregnancy diaries, the one food you couldn't stand, and yet the one food your body was continuously crying for. It is Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Happy. We want to talk about the gut feeling this morning when you look at your maternal health as a woman, particularly as you're going through the first trimester. And joining us for You Can, which is your ultimate wellness guide happening every single Wednesday between 10 and 11, our favorite contributors from across the world, all the way from the UK and right here in Zimbabwe, to help us understand a little bit more around what wellness is all about. Now, interesting, can you imagine, out of seven out of every 10 of your immune system is located in your gut. And for an African toddler, they say that the foundation of the system is almost, listen to this, entirely dependent on you as the mother through your microbiome in the first 1,000 days. This is interesting. They also say that African women possess a much more diverse gut microbiome, and we're going to find out in a minute what exactly does that mean, because of many different things that we're eating, from our fiber-rich diets, which are then protecting our kids from possibly inflammatory conditions that may come from other parts of the world and their food that they eat. In our country, 1 in every 4 children under the age of 5 are stunted. And right now, there is research suggesting that gut inflammation in you as a mother whilst you're pregnant is actually a primary driver for a child experiencing stunted growth. This is very interesting. And we want to talk a little bit more around this and thinking, Sakatole, what sort of foods can we be eating that will protect your baby and you as a mother so that your child is less likely to develop conditions? Can you imagine things like asthma are very much connected to the gut and what your mother is consumed when she was pregnant? Joining us firstly from the UK is our naturopath. She's also a systems health strategist, as I like to call her, Dr. Diaz. Doc, good morning. It's so good to have you on Capital.
Good morning. Good morning, Faleki. Good morning, everybody. So lovely to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so interesting just hearing some of these statistics around the gut health and the outcome of your baby's health. And that's pretty interesting that many African women might be suffering in silence with different kinds of discomforts when they are pregnant. Talk to us a little bit more around that, how health of you as a mother will directly impact the development of your baby's nervous system.
Okay, thank you. Right, so the first trimester is like the blueprint stage of life. The organs, immune system, and metabolic pathways are being programmed. So maternal systematic inflammation, even at low levels, sends chemical signals, cytokines, and stress hormones through the placenta. So these signals influence the baby's immune development, potentially predisposing them to allergies, poor gut, microbiome balances of metabolic issues later in life. So supporting the mother's system through anti-inflammatory foods, nutrient-rich herbs, hydration, and stress regulation isn't just helpful, it's foundational for the baby's long-term resilience.
Wow. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Abi. Share with us your experiences during your pregnancy, what it is that you loved eating and what you did not love eating. And Doc, also, because some of these terms for us, feel very academic and we might not necessarily connect with what they mean. So when we talk about microbiome in us as pregnant women having an impact in our kids in the first trimester, what exactly is microbiome?
Well, a microbiome is a dynamic community of trillions of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, and they live on and inside humans, plants, and environments. These microbiome communities are crucial for health. So it's playing a key role in immunity, digestion, and protecting against pathogens.
So if we're looking at, say, the first trimester of pregnancy, and we consider that, let's say, like the construction phase of the baby during pregnancy, how does a mother then determine her baby's long-term immune resilience?
Okay. So you're looking at long-term resilience. It starts from the moment you get pregnant. And if you're looking at long-term resilience, you need to be protecting the baby's development by everything that you eat. So inflammatory foods, they can't be digested. So you're looking at initially what am I putting into my gut, basically? Are they nutrient-rich herbs? Am I hydrating myself? Is my stress levels regulated? So this is how you protect yourself and the baby's development in the first few weeks.
Got you. I just want also to bring in Taku here into our discussion. Taku is our personal trainer and our wellness strategist, and he has a passion for holistic well-being and also preventing, the development of non-communicable diseases. Now, Taku, from where you are sitting, if a mother is prioritizing, holistic well-being, that means it's not just your physical health, it's your emotional, it's what you're eating in the first 12 weeks. how do you think we can effectively prevent this mother developing BP, diabetes in her child 40, 50, 60 years from now?
Good morning, Kolage. Thank you for having me. So we understand that through exercise, through movement, this regulates stress, and when the mother is also eating well and possibly with better sleep, this is the first 12 weeks of your pregnancy. Like as Doc is saying, she is setting up not just when she will be 6 months pregnant old, but also she's also setting up life for the person that she is carrying, the baby. So maybe the understanding is, that example we always use of a car, that your body is like a car. Now we are saying you are not, maybe let's say a car that is carrying one person. You are now a truck that is also, it has this load that it is carrying.
Right.
So whatever the truck is going to do is to make sure that the load will get to its destination. So exercise, from my understanding, all the benefits it gives all individuals, we understand that those benefits that the mother is experiencing, they are also important, or the baby is also benefiting from that. Yeah.
It's very interesting because, Coach Taku, you've always been very clear to remind us that whatever it is, whatever decision you're making about your health and your lifestyle today, 5 years from now, it will show. And similarly, as you're listening in, who you are today is as a result of decisions you made about your health and your lifestyle 5 years ago, 5-10 years ago. Let that sink in a little bit. Who you are today is largely because of the health. I mean, in terms of your physical health and your overall wellness, it's because of a decision you made 5-10 years ago showing up today. Now, Coach Taku, in our context as Zimbabwe, most often people think of movement in terms of either doing chores, or going to the gym. But I'm thinking if you're a pregnant woman, you probably need a little bit more gentler approach to having movement. Talk to us a little bit about that. What sort of tools can pregnant women think about to manage stress as well? I'm thinking if it was someone like Mildred, for example, she might have needed support so that she doesn't shut down, but also is able to deliver a healthy baby.
So we understand that for regulating the nervous system, deep breathing helps. So maybe from time to time or once per day, she can do breathing exercise where you are breathing in through your nose and you breathe out through your mouth, those long ones. That can help to reduce stress, or that can facilitate with the well-being of the mother. Walks, they are also important. I'm sure pregnant women, they are not excluded when we say maybe 8 to 12,000 steps per day. They are also included.
Right.
Because movement is beneficial to every human being, right? They can also lift weights. We understand the importance of strength training, resistance training, to inflammation, to building strength. Again, you have seen a number of women, they complain of their joints, knees, even lower back pain. So with strength training, definitely guided by, a professional, they can then help to strengthen their physical body. Yeah.
So you've actually sort of started picking up on something that I was going to ask. So when we think in terms of that one habit a pregnant woman can do, because it can also be a very stressful time. Sometimes you're tired, you don't have the energy.
Yeah.
What would you say is the one high return habit a woman, particularly in the first trimester, the first 12 weeks, can actually start doing today to make sure that her family is thriving, and that, again, thinking 40 years from now, it's so fascinating as you're hearing this. 40 years from now, if you are pregnant or if you've been pregnant, what you do in the first 12 weeks has a bearing in your child's health outcome 40 years later. That's kind of powerful. So what's the one high return thing we can start to do during this period for the family, but also for the baby?
I may not be so sure what will work for an individual, but I would say maybe something that can lower household stress, just making sure the mother is comfortable and she's in a good space, there's support. I think some of those things can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've spoken to us also, Taku, and Dr. Diaz, I'm going to rope you in a second. You've spoken to us about health span, right?
Yeah.
And your healthy decade, I think you've called it. Okay, don't judge me. I think I might be messing up the terms. But so what is the one strategy a mother can think about to make sure that in the first 12 weeks, I am doing the very best I can to prevent my child from developing BP, sugar, diabetes later from where you are standing? If because you are also very passionate about non-communicable diseases. Okay. But from this sounds like it's starting right from the womb, not when you are 25.
Yeah. We, like Doc mentioned, that the child is also getting her nutrients through the placenta, right? Mm-hmm. So I think nutrition here plays a very important role, where the mother is not just eating for herself, but also for this human being she is carrying.
I think I was keen to hear from a holistic well-being outside the nutrition. Are there other things that you think would be important as well?
So we cannot say this particularly, because an outcome is always a result of a number of mechanisms.
Right.
So you can't say this only, then she forgets other things. That's why I was saying, at least if she's exercising, if the household stress is managed, also she's eating well. The other is if she has to move as well.
Yeah.
Spend time in nature, and also if the father is there, just making sure that the environment is conducive to bring a human being that one day will also live a life.
Coach, Dr. Diaz, we also hear the first 1,000 days of a baby's early life are very pivotal to who they become and the experiences that they have when they are in their mother's womb. So, for example, if you're stressed, if you're anxious, and again, just thinking about Mildred's story in a second, where she was sexually violated and had to carry the emotions and this baby, will actually normally have an impact in the outcome of this baby. So I'm thinking, in terms of nutrition, what would you say is the one thing a pregnant woman must think about having to build her baby's immunity that's going to help this baby down years later, down their bloodline?
Well, one of the most powerful micro practices is 5 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing, first thing in the morning. This calms the nervous system, lowers cortisols, and sets the tone for the day. If you pair this with small nutrient-rich breakfast or herbal tonics, for example, a liver-supportive smoothie or gut-soothing herbal infusion, and you're creating, this will create a calm, anti-inflammatory internal environment. It's a simple habit with big systematic impact, and it benefits both mother and baby. So the one thing I would say to address stress and inflammatory responses is breathing. Learning how to breathe properly and adequately, 5 minutes, slow breathing, first thing in the morning.
Got you. And as always, when you think development, as you're listening in, you think about roads and bridges. But as you can hear, it actually is starting in a much quieter place, the mother's womb. And if we feed the mother, we're not just filling the stomach, we're also securing our nation, if you think about it, and our immune system, just by what a mother's eating in her first trimester. We got to catch the news bulletin. I will give you contact details of Taku as well as Coach Dr. Diaz straight after the news. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat.
We talk, we vibe, we elevate.
Capital 100.4 FM.
The voice of the Estate. 9 years of sizzling hot radio from the hub of business, culture, and entertainment. Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat.